Patricia Lee, and this is my informative speech for Speech 205. Many people have different preferences in rock music, whether it be Elvis, Bob Dylan, the Eagles, Pantera, or Metallica. Rock music is a genre known worldwide. But how did we get there? What caused rock music to rise in a time where change was seldom accepted? Recording equipment, new instruments, and the influence of media and its ever-changing mediums paved success of a new industry. How did artists record and promote their music that they created? Recording started in the 19th century and led up into the 1900s. Thomas Edison invented the phonograph, which was able to record and play back tracks. A drawback to the earlier phonograph was that the artist had to stand close to the horn, limiting them to a small band and a small group of people. As technology advanced, musicians were able to use multiple microphones and instruments, which allowed them to spread out and create bigger bands. This led to the recording of single instruments without the corrupting of sounds. They were able to record the instruments individually and then layer them over itself to create the track. Recording history states that recording cylinders were only able to hold 2 to 3 minutes of a song. The invention of vinyl tapes and CDs led the songs to be longer and more elaborate. They also were able to be played from the home and in the studio over and over rather than bringing the band into the studio every time. Free music, as recording history calls it, was able to be broadcast to the audience at their own convenience. Recording was the same for all genres, but how does it stand out? Different instruments added a unique flair. Basic instruments in a regular band include guitars, bass, piano, sax, and drums. On the History of Rock and Roll states that one of the first rock songs, Rock Around the Clock, by Bill Haley in the Comets, included instruments such as the piano, saxophone, steel guitar, electric guitar, double bass, and drums. The sound went against country and R&B ensembles of the time. This also led to the rise of genres of rock, including hard rock, electronic rock, heavy metal, thrash metal, speed metal, and black metal. Instruments became more electronic. The electronic age started in the 1970s. This gave us the use of synthesizers. They replaced the drum and bass sound, and it was considered to be an artificial sound rather than a normal sound. The sound in the show added flair, and it stood out amongst the other sounds. They used lasers and projected images onto solid objects to add more show. Laser harps and organs were also used as instruments. It added the space effect. Speed metal was also added in the 1980s according to the History of Rock. This documents the rise of Motorhead and also Metallica. This gave listeners a massive attack of sound with the use of double bass drums. They used fast tempos, and they personified the idea of running through music. Death metal also rose out of techno music. The sound echoed, and it was distorted using reverb. This also led to the use of the death growl, which is known pretty much universally around rock music. Rock music developed at a fast rate due to the incline of media promotion. Radio, which allowed recording and playback, allowed music to be played in the homes and outside of concert halls. Rock music was not socially acceptable, which as it progressed, and it represented the rebellion against social norms. TV created the rise for music as the rock star making music icon states. People were able to watch live performances rather than actually go out of their home. Everyone was able to enjoy the same picture due to TV as well. Everybody all over the world was able to watch the same performance, whether they be in South Carolina or California. Elvis is a classic example of how TV helped him in the spotlight. He was in the spotlight of TV, and he was an icon with his swaying hips and his good looks. People swooned over him, and they idolized him because they could see him on TV. As the world got more technological, so did music. 1980 started the Generation Y, which was a digital reform. Downloads became available, and people were not going out in stores to buy the music. They could get it from their home. Google was also invented in 1988, which created a search engine, and they could search up their favorite bands and the songs they wanted to listen to. The History of Rock and Roll also states that media was responsible for what the audience listened to. The audience also got multiple networks as technology advanced, and they could watch different information on different channels, rather than just the pastimes with 3 networks and 5 radio stations. This created unity in the world as everyone watched the same thing all over the country. As technology changed, the sound of music changed. Music spread like wildfire. The sense of unity across the world had everybody listening to the same thing. Without technology, would we have Seven Dust, Rob Zombie, the Eagles, or Pantera, or other bands such as the Backstreet Boys, No Doubt, or the Beastie Boys? The evolution of rock led the way for music technology and the sounds that we know today.